Hello, everyone, and welcome to the In the Pocket podcast. I'm your host, Max Sturm, joined alongside Logan Martin and Xander Cook. This is an NFL podcast that we'll be doing weekly and keeping you guys up to date on all the latest and breaking NFL news. Today, we're going to discuss a couple of things, but starting off with this busy NFL week that we have had as far as trade requests goes. Two big stars in the NFC East have requested trades. First being the defensive end and linebacker Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys, and the second being the wide receiver from Washington, Terry McLaurin. Guys, I have some very strong opinions on these, but let's just go ahead and get started with Micah Parsons and the tweet that he put out last week or earlier this week, rather, where essentially he says that he gave the Cowboys everything that he had and he's just tired of being held up in contract negotiations, goes ahead and puts the blame on Jerry Jones for not pursuing any further negotiations. And when he did, he went out of his way to make sure that Micah's agent was not present, which is a big no-no in the NFL. So, guys, this is a big trade request. Probably the best player on the Cowboys, in my opinion, maybe outside of CeeDee Lamb, has requested his formal trade and has made it very clear that he does not want to be there anymore. This is a guy who went in his first 4 seasons, four straight 12 plus stack seasons. One other guy in the history of the NFL has done that. Can you guys guess who that is?
Who?
Reggie White.
It's Reggie White. Reggie
That
White, the greatest defensive end of all time. And it's incredible that they don't want to give a guy of this caliber who's putting up those numbers the money that he's asking for. Whatever he asks for, he should get. I think he deserves at least what Myles Garrett and TJ Watt have received. Jerry Jones is making a huge mistake here.
Yeah, it's interesting that Jerry Jones didn't get this handled before the other big deals that we saw from Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. You think about it, the longer they're waiting, those millions go up. So they should have figured that out. But now here we are, and it's America's team and America's team's best player, and it's right in the middle of a controversy over a contract. So you can imagine how much the media is going to talk about this and put a spotlight on this in training camp. They got to figure something out. Like you mentioned, he's in a class with elite company is Reggie White, even JJ Watt, and some statistics. You're looking at 52.5 sacks in 4 seasons. And even last season, when he dealt with an injury, he came right back, and in 6 games, he registered 7.5 sacks. And, you're questioning, no player in the NFL is 100% healthy midway through the season, especially when you're dealing with injury. So for him to get 7.5 sacks in 6 games, dealing with injury in 2024, that just says a lot about the athlete that Micah Parsons is. So they got to get this figured out sooner or later. This is going to just keep boiling and boiling, until it reaches the top of the pot. And then, at this point, this is where, it's gotten to that point. So now he's looking for a trade request. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. My mind is still that, now it's panic mode for Jerry Jones. He likes to be the spotlight for good news, not necessarily bad news. And if someone else is on the team or in the organizations in the spotlight for good news, he doesn't like that to overshadow his image of himself. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, but they got to make things happen quick. I don't really think
Yeah,
that a
Logan.
trade request needs to happen right now, immediately. But
Logan, I've got some follow-ups to that, but Xander, I want to go to you because you and I privately have had some conversations about this during the negotiation process and had some differing opinions. So I want to know what your initial thoughts on this trade request are.
honestly, I think it came at the right time. I mean, this has been how long of a holdup now? I mean, we saw it with Dak Prescott, we saw it with CeeDee Lamb, now it's happening with Micah Parsons. And one thing I've noticed is that it's always a Jerry Jones issue. He has been a
Yep.
greedy owner for a long time. He eventually caves in because he does care about his football team. But let's be real here. He doesn't know how to run the football team. He can get the star
No.
players, but he can't hire the coaches. He can get the coaches, but he can't get the star players. He's just been an awful general manager since like what, 2000? Right, like
Before that, too,
right
like
after the prime,
1995.
yeah, right after the prime dynasty is when things started to give a little. Um Yeah, so I think the trade request it's brilliant on Micah Parsons' part because one, he has all the leverage now. Let's be real here. He
Yeah.
definitely has all of the leverage. And two, he knows Jerry is gonna cave at some point. He caved with Dak, he caved with CD. It's only a matter of time before a deal gets done. I highly doubt Micah gets traded because it's not a Jerry Jones thing to do to trade his star players.
The one thing that's different about this, though, Xander, is that it didn't, with Dak and CD, it never went super public like this. Talk about this letter that he wrote out and posted on social media. Sounds like this has been something that's brewing for a long time. He mentions that Jerry Jones called him into his office to talk about leadership and cap being a captain, and quickly turned it into a negotiation meeting without his agent there. And I feel like that's just something that I don't know if you can go back from. He's on Twitter saying, "I no longer want to be a Dallas Cowboy." Logan, do you think it's too late to get a trade or to get a deal done?
No, it's definitely not too late. It's just Jerry Jones got to get his shit together. I don't really know what's going to happen, man. I wouldn't be so surprised if like Adam Schefter comes out with a, 3 first round pick and a decent player, in the next couple days, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get a deal done. The Cowboys have bigger fish to fry, man. A couple letdown seasons, bad performances in the playoffs in the last 5 years, highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and he's, injured last year, tore his hamstring. He's highest paid, definitely, right? Pretty sure Jerry Jones came on record saying that in the media, that
Yeah.
he got the highest paid contract last year, but he was dealing with injury as well, so it'll be, and not to mention they have a new head coach, Schottenheimer. We have no idea how that's going to be, what the culture is going to be like inside the locker room, and obviously with a banged up quarterback and your best player's not getting the deal done, that's just going to add to the turmoil inside.
I personally think like I'm on the opposite side of you guys. I think it's too late. I think it's gone too public at this point. And we can debate that, but I think that Jerry Jones waited far too long. He's the Aaron Rodgers of NFL executives. He wants to be in the spotlight, and so he lets this stuff boil up. But eventually, your star players are going to get sick and tired of this shit. And I think Micah Parsons has. Uh, Jerry Jones came out the day after, I believe, and said, "I would say to our fans, don't lose any sleep over this." I'll tell you what, their fans and the rest of the league's fans are all losing sleep over this because we all know how much he deserves to be paid and that he does deserve to be paid.
Dak Prescott
Um,
making 60 million a year, and he's number one, so he is the highest paid. That. And the same thing's going to happen with, sorry to interrupt, but the same thing's going to happen with Micah. The longer they wait, the more the money's going to go up. Jerry's going to look good giving him that big contract. That's what happens.
Micah was willing to do a contract early on before those guys got paid as well to to still be the highest paid at the time. But
Right,
like you said, now those millions are going up, and he's probably going to be asking in the range of 40 million, 45 million
right.
at this point, at least the
And
43 to get above TJ.
in that note, he mentions that his agent wanted him to wait just a little bit, knowing that a couple edge rushers were going to get paid. So I wonder how much of that, factored in with maybe a bad agent. Not speaking badly on his agent, I have no idea, but think about that. Jerry's trying to negotiate contracts without him in sight, and his agent is, telling Micah to wait because guys around him are going to get paid. So maybe Jerry Jones is a little acting a little petty towards his agent.
Sander, you got any thoughts?
um, I think Logan definitely he that's amazing insight. It could definitely be a bad agent thing because at the end of the day, yeah, you once you sign the contract, you're the highest paid, but that's just gonna get overtaken within the next few months, within the
Right,
next year. Like you're not gonna be the highest paid for however long that contract is. It's just
right.
not possible. The salary cap is only getting bigger. So,
It could be
but
great
I
I don't
advice, but
definitely,
like Micah mentioned that he wanted to play in Dallas. He didn't want that big highest paid contract, but
yeah,
so yeah,
and
it's
not
good.
only that, like Micah deserves every penny thrown his way. He's definitely gonna break the record. He's probably gonna get 42 million a year just to beat TJ's deal. Um, I have two thoughts about this situation. I think it's kind of a win-win for Jerry Jones. It's a hot take, but I think it's a win-win. On one side, if you lock him down for 42 million a year, you get your star edge rusher on the team for 4 more years, 5 more years in his prime, and on track to be one of the greatest ever to do it. And that's going to bring your fan base back to support you. On the other hand, if you trade him, you're getting 2 or 3 first round picks, maybe even a solid
Right.
player. And those first round picks could be amazing for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Those 3 first round picks could end up being star players. So there's a lot of upside in trading him, and there's a lot of upside in signing him to that deal.
Yeah, and I will say I have seen some trade proposals, just mock ones made up.
Hmm.
Um, I I'm a Bills fan, so have a lot of Bills profiles on my Instagram page, and I saw one that looked very interesting to me, and it was the Bills 2027 first round pick alongside James Cook, running back James Cook, and a few other picks sent that way to Dallas for Micah Parsons amid James Cook's contract negotiations, which we'll talk about when we get to the East, the AFC East. But there's a lot of teams that would go out of their way to send pretty high caliber players and picks their way for a guy like Micah Parsons. The edge rushing position is one of the most important positions in the league, especially today with all of the mobile quarterbacks that we have and the way that the quarterback position is played. That guy has found a way to be dominant in this new era of quarterbacks, and a lot of teams would go out of their way to pay a lot of money and a lot of picks and good players for him.
Hmm.
What did you find one of those mock trades?
What's that?
Did you find one of those mock trades that say the players on there?
I can find the one that they said for the Bills.
Yeah, I'd like to see what that
Um,
was.
yeah, but honestly, I think it's a little too late to pay Micah Parsons now. Though they can offer him something, but I just wonder if the relationship has already been damaged. Micah Parsons, being the athlete that he is, uh, he's still showing up to practice. I don't
Right,
know. I don't think he's playing or practicing with pads on or anything, but he's still showing up. So
right,
maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room in there. You can find the bright side of him still being there. Maybe the team still means something to him.
right.
Maybe the players can help kind of reel him back in, but I'm
Uh,
just not sure. Jerry Jones has been such a problem for multiple star players now, and even CeeDee Lamb has called out uh, Jerry Jones on Twitter as well. So now it's not just Micah getting public.
I feel like you could see this coming though if you really think about it. In the moment, it's like, oh my God, goodness, America's team is their best player. He's requested a trade. But if you really think back, think about what Jerry Jones said in front of the press. I think it was last month, right before or a couple weeks before training camp. He mentioned, he's paid the highest contract in the NFL and he was injured. You know, what good does it do him if he pays all this money to get that player back, but he sits half the year? And you made that comment to the media. So, you think about those comments and you think about Micah Parsons playing in 2024 on a contract year and he's, out the half the season. You could debate that he didn't earn that money. Statistically, he did earn that money, but did he prove he could stay healthy? And to Jerry
Right.
Jones, he just paid Dak Prescott 60 million a year and he's out all season. So to him, he's paying all this money. What's the real reward when these guys are sitting out so much because all the weight's on their shoulders?
I
The other
love that. Yeah, like he's paying Dak 60 million a year for Dak to only play 6 games a year.
Right,
I
Yep.
mean, Micah only played 6 games this past season, so now Jerry's kind of worried. Is this going to be a trend? Is he gonna follow Dak's footsteps and
right.
only play half the season? Because Micah's laying his body on the line every single play, so it wouldn't be a surprise for him to get these injuries. We saw it with JJ Watt. He had those injuries. TJ is starting to get some injuries. We saw it with Reggie White. We saw it with Bruce Smith. There are guys that lay their body on the line, and because of that, they get injured quite frequently.
Yeah, but does the production outweigh that? Is what my question would be. And if he's playing only 6 games, I would say no,
Yeah,
right? Six
exactly.
games, absolutely not. But if you're getting at least half the season out of him, and like Logan had mentioned, what did you say? 7.5 sacks in
In
six
six
games?
games after he
That's
returned from injury.
incredible.
Right.
That's incredible. Um,
I think my opinion, if you're not 100%, or no one's really 100% entering the playoffs, but if you're not there to play a playoff game, I don't think you're worth it.
right. Logan, I did find that mock trade. This one's from Yahoo Sports. It has the Bills sending over the 2026 first round pick, 2026 fourth round pick, 2027 second round pick, and running back James Cook in exchange for just Micah Parsons. Would that be a good trade for Buffalo?
Yeah, I don't know about that. If you're talking about the Eagles, that's a different question. And I say that because I feel like the Bills, not to just switch gears to the Bills, but I feel like the Bills are a couple offensive weapons and a superstar on defensive way to being a team like Philadelphia, where you can, you know, count on them getting to the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles are the only team right now in the NFL in that category that we can say like they'll be in the Super Bowl next year. And if they aren't, it's because someone gets injured or they have a really really bad game. But yeah, I feel like the Bills, they in the last couple of years, Josh Allen proven to be a great pick when they drafted him. They add Palmer to their weaponry at the wide receiver core. They're going to make some noise this year. And James Cook, I'm pretty sure he's dealing with a little contract situation as well.
Yes. And
So
that's
it'll
the
be
whole reason
interesting.
that he's on the trade
Right.
block.
But you don't have oil money in Texas, in Buffalo, so um, they're gonna have to figure some stuff out to keep all these superstars. But they're making the right moves and they're getting better every single year. And Josh Allen is also getting better every single year. And quarterback's the most important position. So I feel like you wait a couple years. I don't mind giving up that much, but at this moment, I feel like the Bills are. You might disagree. You're a Bills fan, but I feel like the Bills are pretty close to where they want to be right now.
I think
Yeah,
it's
not to
I
go
think
ahead,
it's a
Xander.
bad trade for both. I mean, Buffalo's sending out so many draft picks and then James Cook just in exchange for Micah Parsons. Now Buffalo doesn't have that running back, who's a do-it-all running back. I mean, James Cook is over 1,000-yard rusher. He gets those touchdowns and he also affects the passing game. Like, he was solid in the passing game.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
and Dallas getting James Cook just does not make sense at all. I mean, they already have Miles Sanders, they have Jaden Blue, they have Williams. So
I know,
adding,
but do any of those guys stack up to the level that James Cook is?
I
James Cook
think
would be a day one starter for them. There would be
he
no
would
running
be.
back
He would
battle.
be. He would be. It also depends on the running back committee. Like I think those three guys all together would be super solid.
Yeah. Buffalo does have Ty Johnson and second year running back Ray Davis backing up James Cook right now. Both who
I'm a
had very solid seasons.
I'm a
Uh,
big fan of Ray Davis. I like watching him run the football.
yeah, Ray Davis and Ty Johnson are kind of the two split backs of
Right.
what James Cook is, though.
Right.
Ray Davis, very strong runner, will get you
Elusive
those yards
mover.
and can break
Yeah.
free. Ty Johnson, a
Catching the
very
football.
solid receiving back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're getting a little sidetracked with the Bills there. I want to move on now to the other trade request that has been made this week. Another big one in the NFC East. This one coming out of Washington. It's wide receiver Terry McLaurin. And guys, this is another one that I don't understand why you're not paying the man. I get that maybe
Right.
he's asking a fair amount of money, but let's just take a look at the statistics real quick. He had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons with a grocery list of quarterbacks, and I listed them all here. Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Garrett Gilbert, Sam Howell, and Carson Wentz, and then
Right.
obviously Jaden Daniels last year. So with all of those guys, with the exception of maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick for his two magic games a year, Alex Smith before the injury, and and Jaden Daniels obviously last year, he's playing with terrible quarterback play and still getting those 1,000-yard seasons. In 2019, he puts up 900 yards. In 2020, 1,100. In 2021, 1,000. 2022, 1,200. 2023, 1,000. 2024, 1,100. So he's not hitting those 1,500 yard receiving seasons that we're seeing out of, or that we saw
But
out of uh, Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. But he was 15th in receiving yards last year, 19th in receptions, and second in touchdowns with 13. The production is there, and they should pay him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They should pay him. How much is he asking for?
My guess is that he wants in the range of what the top guys are getting, which
Oh wait,
is
I think
what it
I
what
think it
it
said he wanted like DK money, and DK is getting what, 32 million a year?
which is, I believe, 10 million less than what Jamar Chase is making. So if he's
Yeah,
not asking for top dollar, he just wants
right.
that elite pay. I don't get why you don't do it. Like,
Yeah,
think about it. You got hmm?
especially since he's been in the organization that was just not competitive for the longest time, and he still put up those stats. He's a loyal guy. He deserves to get paid. So again, that's another one where it's like no freaking wonder he wanted out. Doesn't make sense to want out, but at the end of the day, you got to get that bag. So I get it.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, you just look.
imagine this guy.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.